I remember being a little kid before we left the church. I felt like I was surrounded by these people I didn't know and who didn't see me and who I felt like I needed to blend in with. As I grew older and more separated from the church, it felt like such a hassle to like just try to blend in with these people who wouldn't even bother looking in my direction. So I should just look in my own direction. I should become more myself, because if they're not going to do it, then I got to do it, you know?
I'm feeling queer today.
Welcome back to I'm Feeling Queer Today, a podcast that amplifies the voices of LGBTQ plus young people like me for listeners like you, whoever you are. Brought to you by the Future Perfect Project. I'm your host, Peter.
And I'm your other host, Siri or Maru. By the way, we're trying out something new here today on I'm Feeling Queer Today. If you leave us a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you listen to our show, we'll give you a shout out in a future episode.
If you have even more to say, we have an online voicemail box so we can hear directly from you, our listeners. Just go to speakpipe.com/IFQT. That's speakpipe.com/IFQT. Leave us a message, let us know what you think of the podcast and what you'd like to hear next.
And who knows, maybe your voicemail will end up in our very next episode. This season, we are taking a queer road trip all around the country to answer a big question. What is it like to be queer where you live?
This episode is part 2 of our visit to Encircle, a center for LGBTQIA plus youth ages 12 to 25 in Provo, Utah. If you haven't already, go back and check out part 1. It will give you important context and help you better understand and enjoy this episode. So listen to that and then meet us right back here for part 2. Today, we are recording at Encircle, Provo, where me and Maru first met.
It was a very funny day, and it was a great introduction, and now I've been going here for about 3 years since that day.
And we are lifelong friends.
Yay! Last episode, you got to meet some of the young people who call Encircle Provo a second home. Plus, you heard some original work by Encircle's guests from our weekly Writers' Night.
In this episode, you'll meet some of the incredible young adults that keep the Provo Encircle House up and running.
Plus, we'll get to take a peek into one of my personal favorite Encircle activities, Friendship Circle.
And speaking of friendship, we have a special conversation with some of Encircle Provo's biggest, best friends in the whole world. Us!
Let's take a listen.
Eryn, the final sunrise.
Yep, this is my original song.
Oh my goodness! Have you played an original here before? I'm so excited.
A great thing about being queer, I've got to say, is the community. There's just so much love and acceptance everywhere you go. I was coming here specifically to be nervous and get over the nervousness. I finally started recovering at least a little bit from the chronic fatigue I've had for like 10 years now. I am the door greeter on half the days, and other half of the time I'm just hanging out with all the people that come here, trying to make them feel warm and welcome. I've only recently started writing songs, but when I'm writing, definitely, I try to pour all of my heart and soul into everything I write. Definitely taught me a lot about how the way something is said can often mean more than what the words say themselves. I think I've had a really lucky life so far. I've had a lot of big challenges, but I've also had really big support. I see a lot of people out there in the world that have big challenges but don't have the support they need. I just want to let them know that someone out there is rooting for them. A lot of people have the idea that the ideal self they imagine in their head is something that they can never achieve. In my experience, it's the complete opposite. Your imagination will never be strong enough to imagine the kind of person you are capable of becoming.
Hello all, my name is Shem. I use he, him pronouns. I am 25. I am one of the assistant home directors for Encircle Provo.
I'm Macey Gwynn. I use they, she pronouns.
I'm 22. I'm the home director, which means I just get to do gay little things all day, 40 hours a week.
My name is Christopher Amador. I am 21 years old. I use they, them pronouns. And I work for Encircle as the assistant home director, which basically means that I help run our facility, our home, making sure that programs are running smoothly, interacting with the kids and helping them build relationships and boundaries.
The first time I ever came here, I was 19 years old.
This was not a resource that was incredibly available to me when I was a youth. I think a lot of Utahns will tell you, I didn't know gay people existed until I was 18. This was not my community as much as I wanted it to be, as much as it should have been.
I knew I was queer when I was about 11 years old. Encircle had not existed yet. Part of the reason why I do what I do now is because I see myself in everyone that comes through those doors.
I was at BYU and I was religious, and I had a crush on one of the girls in my dorm, and I was talking to my friend and I was like, I think I could be bi. First time I came to Encircle was the summer after that experience, and there was a guest on the porch and they just stood up and were like, hi, I don't think I've met you before, and just gave me the most beautiful and heartwarming welcome. Now that I'm home director, I want to replicate that feeling for everyone.
We had a lovely community engagement coordinator by the name of Camlin. As soon as I walked in, I saw them, the way that they were able to interact with the group, the way they interacted with the youth, the young adults, and I thought to myself, that is what I want to do.
I still remember the names of the volunteers that I got to meet the first day I walked in. Volunteer named Ty, a drag queen in the Provo scene, and they showed me so much about what it meant to break out of traditional gender roles.
I think it's partially because of my age that I can do some of these things, mainly because I can relate to our high schoolers, and I went to the same high school as a lot of them, and I've had those similar experiences, but also because of my age, because I don't have that much experience, I only have my own experience, and so I can balance that cultural competency with that cultural humility.
I am just on that cusp, I do understand and have a perspective that is shared by so many older queer and non-queer individuals, and similarly I have a understanding, or at least an appreciation, of so much of what our youth are going through.
Many walks of life come through that door. People with different religious backgrounds, people with pain, people with joy, people who are very educated about the queer community, or people who just are starting out and want to understand.
I love our motto, no sides, only love. It's just uniquely hard to be in a place where you're religious and where you're queer. And I had a faith transition when I was in college and decided I no longer wanted to be Mormon or LDS. And I think that because of other people's words and other people's thoughts and other people's feelings, we feel like it's impossible to exist in that middle ground. And I want people to know that we can exist in the middle. No sides, only love means to me that people can come here and people can shed the burden of being made to choose.
This space that we've created since 2017, it is a place where both sides can be educated, whether you want to learn more and be an ally and understand the struggles, or if you are queer yourself and you want to discover more about who you are, different terminology, trying out different names and different pronouns in a space that is safe and you can be respected for that.
Nobody will bash you or your religion for any of those things. So I train my staff really specifically about the ways everybody should approach that conversation. For those who are religious and who are queer, or who are religious and who are figuring it out. Sometimes when I speak in a bitter tone about a religion that to me personally and in my experience means rejection, and to other experiences it's something that is so beautiful to them. When I speak in a bitter tone about that, it can make them feel unwelcome and unsafe in this space, and I don't want them to feel unwelcome and unsafe in this space. And we can have those feelings and we can express those feelings. Let's have those conversations more privately.
I have no longer identified as a man. I am non-binary, and that's something I would never have discovered or gone through if I hadn't come to this space and was free to ask questions.
Our current generation of youth, the kids I get to hang out with every day, will do anything to expand their mind to be able to understand the world and the people around them. And when we are able to connect with each other and share our ideas and hold safety and love for each other, bravery isn't the right word because this isn't a choice for them. Our youth are on the front lines. That is power. That is what keeps us alive. And that is what makes us grow stronger.
So, Encircle, friendship circle.
Friendship circle is like a safe space for everybody to talk, and a lot of the times it's a safe space for if you want to monologue about things that you can't really bring up in a regular conversation, you can bring it up in friendship circle.
But it doesn't have to be the topics of like therapy. It can be like one time, like 2 years ago, we had a conversation about the Queen of England. Think group therapy, but not licensed therapists and just a bunch of youth sharing experiences and just hanging out for like about an hour.
You can be you, say what you've been going through, and saying it out loud helps a lot. When you don't get the chance to say anything, it kind of burns you from the inside out. So it's better to share it with others who will understand.
Same thing as usual. If you have a piece of advice or a question you want to ask, feel free to raise your hand, and whoever's turn it is to share can call on you when they're ready. For introductions today, I would love to hear your pronouns, how you are feeling today.
I use she, her pronouns. I'm feeling pretty chill today.
My pronouns are they, them. He, him is fine if it's easier. They, them is still preferred. I'm feeling silly.
Okay, I didn't speak English, but I'm trying. Gender fluid.
She, they, her pronouns. I am feeling goofy.
Today I am feeling superior.
Okay.
Thank you.
I use any and all pronouns, including yours. Yeah, your gender's mine now. Deal with it. I have a preference for probably they, them today. It changes.
My pronouns are he, him. I'm feeling a smidgen anxious, but mostly really optimistic and excited.
My name is Sage, and my pronouns are she, they. Encircle is committed to no sides, only love in all conversations. Please remember that this community consists of a spectrum of spiritual practices. Speak to your experiences in I statements and refrain from generalizing about any group of people.
If you feel triggered or no longer want to talk about a certain topic, our trigger word is ELMO, which stands for Enough, Let's Move On. Anyone, including the facilitator, is encouraged to say this at any time, and the conversation will immediately shift.
Swearing is not allowed at Encircle generally. However, it can be used during friendship circles when emotionally appropriate.
So, as a few of you may know, a while ago I drew a long Furby with legs whom I named David. And I decided to post the picture of him on a art website I use. 3 minutes later, I got a comment saying, "You've achieved the impossible, my friend. You've made Furbies even more creepy than they already are." So I finally accomplished something.
We're doing Harry Potter the Cursed Child, and I got Draco Malfoy, which is so gender affirming, honestly, for like my masculine days.
I go to a school for liberal arts, where it's a very woke school, but we don't have a gender-neutral bathroom, like, at all. If I go into the girls' bathroom and it's not empty, I have to worry about, okay, well, is this a stranger who's going to perceive me as a girl, which is uncomfortable? Is it an acquaintance who I've told my pronouns that is going to think that I'm a creep for being in the wrong bathroom? Or is it one of my friends that I don't know how they're going to react? And then, in the guys' bathroom, people are going to perceive me as a girl there, so, like, again, what if I'm seen as a creep? Also, it's nasty in there. It's nasty. I don't want to see the cis guys.
Recently, I've been feeling after effects of pain from past trauma that originated at church. I used to be LDS, but I left because of the fact that I did not feel safe in that building. Whenever church gets mentioned, I mean, it's hard to even talk about it. I can never have most of the things that they are promised in the church in the first place. I can't even go to the temple due to the fact that I'm transgender, and I don't think I'm even allowed. And also, main church belief is that you're supposed to accept it and ignore it. Resist it, and because it's a temptation and a sin.
is a beautiful honor to get to facilitate any friendship circle. But at the same time, you have to understand that you might be the authority in the room, but you're also not the life of the party. You are just here to make sure we can keep this a safe space and let our guests do the rest. Queer individuals ourselves, we see our queer youth, our young adults, we see what they're going through, their experiences, and we say, I have done that, I have been there, I know what you're experiencing, let me share with you how I got through that. And that is a very beautiful thing, but that's not the point of Friendship Circle. Our goal is to connect our guests, to allow them chances to uplift each other and to see each other in their triumphs and in their struggles. And when we hop in and are the first to take the spotlight, we're robbing our youth of that experience.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, you can call me Siri or Maru. I use any and all pronouns, and I am 14 years old.
My name is Moon. My pronouns are he, him. I am 15, and me and Maru are best friends.
Yippee!
We met here at Encircle.
Yeah.
Encircle is a special community for queer youth in Utah. We have a house up in Salt Lake. I think maybe down in St. George we have one. And the one that we are at right now and met at was in Provo. Or is it Provo? My mom wanted to find me some more queer outlets because at the time there was literally no place for queer people in my life, and I was feeling really rejected. And so she went online and she found this place called Encircle, and we toured the house maybe 3 or 4 times before I decided to come back because I was so anxious about being in such a new place. I felt so just part of the community and so safe. And I started going every single week, never ever missing a week. I go every single Wednesday, and I have from that day until now.
Me and my sibling came out to our mom. Basically, my mom mentioned Encircle to us. She was like, I heard about this from Mama Dragons. It's like a group of like supporting moms,
and they raise a lot of awareness for queer youth and protecting queer children, specifically in Utah.
Yeah.
Yes.
My mom made me wait until like a week after my 12th birthday to go to Encircle, and ever since then I've been going as much as I can every single Wednesday. I first walked in with my sibling and mother. My first introduction was them just saying, "You're attractive."
I was a very bold kid at the time.
Yeah. But I was flattered. It was a great introduction to Encircle. And now we're best friends. I've always felt so happy here and like safe to share my opinion.
Utah is such an echo chamber, specifically in the religious department. See, the LDS religion is like such this huge religion. It spans across countries, and it's like the #1 religion in the world, but it is so concentrated in Utah. And a lot of the times people don't really specify it as the LDS church. We just kind of call it the church, and everybody knows what we're talking about because it's normalized. It's very, very normalized in the LGBTQ plus community to have religious trauma. In Utah, it's very specific. It's pretty much always Latter-day Saint religious trauma. And so growing up in that religious like atmosphere can really change how a queer person grows up.
I lived right across the street from a LDS church, and those little like walls around the electrical stuff, we used to sit on top of those, and then we would just talk for hours and hours. And one of the times, this friend was talking to us about this new thing that he discovered that he thought was really weird. Trans people. He was like, it's like a girl wanting to be a guy or a guy wanting to be a girl. We're all trans now. Which is so funny, because we were like being like, ew, that's so weird, because that's what we were taught in the church. We were taught that it's okay to be this, but it's weird and you shouldn't pursue it. You shouldn't like act upon this lifestyle.
Like, that ties into my first experience with queer people. I looked up a talk in the church because I was so panicked about, what does my religion think about this? If I were to become this, what would they think? And I came across an old talk that was, in very polite terms, LGBTQ plus people are weird, and you shouldn't be mean to them because God doesn't want that, but you should condemn them, which really panicked me further. So I texted my great aunt, a wonderful lady, and what she told me was that, oh, no, it's completely okay to have those feelings, and it's okay to have same-sex attraction. You just can't act on it at all. If you act on it at all, you're going to hell. It is terrifying meeting somebody in the LDS church as a queer person. I feel like especially meeting queer people that are also LDS, because you really have no idea where their internalized homophobia is at. Because I've had religious LDS queer people be worse to me than straight people. And it's this terrifying feeling that I'm sure exists outside of Utah, but it is so much bigger of a problem when there's a really concentrated religion. And you often don't figure out which type of person they are until you're close enough that it's hard to cut off the relationship. I know so many people that, think that if they had the opportunity to be queer, that they would be. But they don't feel like they have that opportunity at all. And it goes back to abstaining from sin. There's a really big culture of, if you have those feelings, push them down.
I used to go on these walks with my mom. She tells my dad basically everything. My dad, who still has these LDS beliefs, he cares more about his family. He is still very supportive. And so she was talking to him about how both of the children in our family turned out to be queer. And apparently what my dad said was, if both of my kids turn out lesbian, does that mean I was a bad father? That's where my parents are coming from, and that's just what they were taught. I still love them.
My mom, on several occasions, has broken down because there is such a culture in the church of, if your child goes against the church and leaves the church, it isn't on the child because they're too young to know what they want. It's the parent is often very heavily judged. I feel like we've been talking a lot about the scary parts and a lot about the bad parts and the parts that make it harder to be a queer youth living in Utah. But it really is an amazing place with some really loving and kind people, especially Encircle. Encircle, it is so overwhelmingly positive as soon as you walk through the doors. If I ever have a hard day, I know that as soon as I come to Encircle, I'm going to be completely happy and okay again by the end of the night. I feel like a really common misconception that people outside of Utah think is that it is only the heterosexual white Christians in Utah, that there is no queer at all. But we actually have a really big community, and for the most part, it's really loving and really supporting, and we kind of need to be that way.
There is gay everywhere. There's also going to be people that suck, but they don't know you. Surround yourself with people that can support you and will love you for whoever you are, instead of only loving you for someone who you are not.
And if you're ever in Utah and you're a queer person, even if you're a young adult, come and visit Encircle.
Come to Encircle.
We love guests.
We love
Have
you.
Have a fun time.
Yeah.
When the clock stopped dying, you said that you lived your life. Saying as is, like it's time for hypersonic missiles.
Oh, we were so silly.
Oh, we were so silly. We were so silly. The offer still stands. If you're a young adult or a child and you want to come to Encircle, you can come. You can.
Even if you just want to hang out.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a great place to just hang out. I often will just play one of the guitars that's downstairs or do something like one of the activities in the art room. It's just It's a big party.
We love you. Come on.
Join us.
Join us.
Join
Join
us. Join us.
To close out our episode, we got to sit down with Encircle Provo's Assistant Program Director, Chris Amador, who you met at the top of the episode.
Plus, we have some special messages from the guests at Encircle House, just for you.
I've always been in Utah, born and raised in Pleasant Grove. It was very interesting, especially as growing up religious and being a queer person of color. Well, I was very avoidant and I was very passive aggressive because I didn't want them to think of me as queer. Growing up, I was in a competitive sport called ballroom dance. I grew up doing it since the age of about 10 years old. It's a very big popularized sport in Utah specifically. It's a competitive couple sport where there is a lead, typically a man, and a woman, typically a follower. And those gender roles are heavy in the entire industry. Something always irked me about being consistently a leader and being associated with the male role. And as I grew up and I started to realize who I wanted to be, I also started to break those boundaries. In college, or at least my first years, I was a dance major, and I signed up to be a follower. There are rules and regulations and guidelines for being respectful to queer people in that university space, which is really nice to have. The ways that you can interact with your hand gestures, your body, your isolation of your hips and ribs can all be more effeminate and more free. Got to swing my skirt and also keep my arms out at a wide base. And I love having the option of switching between those roles. I would never have been able to break those gender roles in an industry without my experience about being queer and also the space that Encircle provided.
I want to tell the next generation of queer youth in Utah, you're loved. It can be really hard to find sometimes, especially when you're in a very religious-centric part of Utah. Even when it doesn't feel like it, there is someone out there who loves you and for who you are.
Find your space and find your people. And if you have people around you who are holding you to certain standards that don't let you change and don't let you grow, then maybe those aren't the right people for you.
I know you feel a lot of guilt, and you're going to hold on to this religious guilt for a long time, but it's going to be okay, and you're going to be all right, and you're going to figure everything out. But in the end, you're going to be just fine.
You're going to be scared. You're scared right now, but it's okay. You've got time. You've got years ahead of you. You don't need to figure everything out right now. You shouldn't. I don't think you should know who, every facet of yourself. You're going to be a little lonely and you're going to be a little scared, but that's not going to last. All right? I promise.
Take things slow. Trust the people around you and focus on what will benefit you in the long run.
Things will work out the way that they are supposed to. Never give up on people. Never give up on yourself. And trust that things will work out in the end, because that is what will push you forward for years to come.
You can change your name as much as you want and change to use different pronouns as much as you want, because your real friends, regardless of how many times you ask for them to call you a different name, they will. You're just trying to figure yourself out.
I love everyone, guys. God said love everyone, and I did that.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Siri or Maru.
And I'm Peter, and you've been listening to
I'm Feeling Queer Today. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and share the show with your friends, family, or even your fabulous gay aunt.
If you're new here, welcome to the party. Make sure you go back and check out seasons 1 and 2. We think you'll like them a lot. Our next episode is out next week.
We want to hear from you. That's why we set up our own online voicemail box for you, our listeners, to leave us messages. Go to speakpipe.com/IFQT and drop us a line.
That's speakpipe.com/IFQT. Let us know what you think of the podcast. For more information and resources about this episode, check out the show notes in the description or check out the episode page at thefutureperfectproject.org/podcast.
If you or a young person you know between the ages of 13 and 24 is currently in crisis, visit thetrevorproject.org for LGBTQIA+ specific support through text and chat, or call 1-866-488-7386. These resources will be in the show notes too.
To learn more about the Future Perfect Project, head to our website, thefutureperfectproject.org, and find us on social media at The Future Perfect Project.
Thank you to all our wonderful contributors from Encircle Provo: Sammy, Eryn, Toby, Aster, Felix, Bear, and my lovely co-host Peter.
And my lovely co-host, Maru/Siri.
Thank you to Encircle Provo staff, Macey, Shem, and Chris.
And our volunteer, Sage. This episode was recorded in Provo, Utah by Celeste Lacine, Emma Jane Sislowski, and Miles Tripp.
IFQT is produced by the Future Perfect Project with support from Radio Kingston and our I'm Feeling Queer Today podcast cohort: Alex Massey, Eric Eubank, Lily Miller, Parker McKenzie, Samuel Smalls, and Zorian Edwards.
Our theme song is performed and composed by Alex Massey and produced by Emma Jane Sislowski. Additional music from Epidemic Sound, episode editing, mixing, and mastering by Emma Jane Sislowski. This episode was hosted by me, Peter,
and me, Siri or Maru. Special thanks to Future Perfect Project team members Ryan Amador, Kiko Wan, and Aaliyah Jamil.